Oops. Okay. Ah, hello, Ice Cream. How are you? So, we'll wait for a few more people to join. We haven't really had any new submissions in terms of questions. So if you have a topic you want me to go through or whatever, or maybe we can go through a past paper, all of these are totally fine. So I don't mind going through I think the 2022 or 2021 past paper, which might be good. Or I can go through a topic perhaps, stats mechanics or something like that. But yeah, feel free to send in any questions that you want on the Discord or on the email if you need to or want to. But other than that, I don't mind doing a past paper if you guys want. Just let me know. So again, we have nothing submitted just yet. Do the past paper? I don't see why not. I'll stick with the paper 1 for now because I'm going to base it on the assumption that you guys haven't really. Some of you guys, I should preface, some of you guys may not have done much, if any, stats and mechanics yet. So I'm going to assume that you haven't, and so we're going to stick to the pure stuff for now. So this is last year's, not last year's. What year was this? 2022? I want to say 2022. Yeah, it's 2022, so it's not last year's, the year before. So about a year and a half ago. There it is. Perfect. And again, if anyone submits a question, just let me know and we'll go through that as well. So, going through the 2022 paper for now. First question, integration. It's fairly standard. So you're going to get an integration question on your pure guaranteed. So it's either going to be an area or it's going to be something like this. Or it could also be, find the equation of the line when you're given, or the curve when you're given dy by dx. So something along those lines, but you're guaranteed to get it. What would I do first? I would always write this in index form first. So we have here the integral of 8x cubed. And then we're going to keep the minus 3 over 2. That's totally fine. But instead of root x, we're going to have x to the power of a half. And because it's on the bottom of the fraction, that's still no good. So we're going to make it x to the minus a half, which essentially brings this thing up to the top. And then plus 5 dx. And you want to do this really carefully because a lot of students rush it or they use a calculator. Bear in mind, you can't just use a calculator to do it because they won't really accept it. So 8x, add 1 to the power and divide by the new power. So I'm doing 8 divided by 4, which is 2, x to the power of 4. Okay, so I've added 1 to the power, which makes it 4. And then I'm dividing the front by the new power. Same thing here. We have 3 over 2. We add 1 to the power, that makes it to the half. So I'm going to write x to the power of a half first. So we're doing 3 over 2 divided by a half, which if you don't know is just going to give me 3. Again, you can use your calculator for all this. So 3 over 2 divided by a half if you need to. But it's just going to give you 3. And it's still negative. And again, if you really want to do that, you could even put a negative in front there. It's negative 3, okay? And then what happens with a constant? You just slap on an x at the end, and then you have a plus c. That's the full 4 marks. That's it. But again, take it slow, take it carefully. We recently marked some pure papers because we had mock exams, and people rushed. They didn't do that well because of it. So, moving on to question 2, using factor theorem. So factor theorem simply states that if x plus 3 is a factor, then that means f of minus 3 should equal 0. So what you do here is you have to do the substitution. You can't just write f of minus 3 equals 0. So we're going to sub the actual thing in, and then you can use a calculator or just say it equals 0 afterwards. Not 2, 3, my apologies. Squared plus 2 minus 3 plus 15. Again, for those of you that may have just joined, feel free to submit questions into the Discord, or you can email me, but let me know if there's anything else you want to do. But for now, we'll just go through the 2022 paper. That's totally fine by me. And then, of course, it's just going to equal 0. If you want, you can check it, but as a spoiler, it's always going to work out. Now, why would I bother checking it? Well, just in case I make a mistake. If this doesn't equal 0, I've made a mistake. So that would be the reason why I would actually do the substitution, okay? But again, completely up to you. I get 0, so whoops, equals 0. Therefore, x plus 3 is a factor. Like so. Part B. Therefore, we need to find the constant such that, and this is a bit annoying because they only give 2 marks for it. But the method you're supposed to use is you are supposed to use long algebraic division, which is kind of annoying, but that is the way it is. So what I would do is I'd put x plus 3 down here, and then we're going to have our equation on the inside, so 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 2x plus 15. I'm going to double check that I got that right. So doing something along that line, and then you can just quickly do it. I have seen your message ice cream. So yeah, synthetic division can be faster. It can be easier as well. But just be aware that this method is the one that you're expected to know. I haven't really heard of anyone dropping marks of it yet, but you know, it's the exam board. Like who knows what they want to do. So I agree that this isn't the fastest way to do it, but the exam board do specify that they want you to know this method. So kind of up to you in that sense. Whoops. Subtract again, so 2 minus 3 would give me 5x, and that's still plus 15. And then of course once I divide this, we get plus 5. I do not need to complete the division because I can see that it's going to finish. So then we just have x minus 3, and then this whole thing in a bracket, 2x squared minus x plus 5. So not too tedious, but that is the solution they are expecting. So getting there. Part C, hence show that it only has one real root. So how can you show this? Well, if it only has one real root, then that means this thing is the only real root. Why? Well, we've already proven that it is a root because we've subbed in the value. So what I would then do is, so we know this is a root. We know that works. So this we cannot factorize is what they're telling us. So of course, proving you can't factorize something is not that easy. So instead, I would personally use the discriminant. The discriminant is the fastest way to do it. So I would just use b squared minus 4ac and evaluate what I get. By the way, just from an examiner's perspective, I would always write b squared minus 4ac before I substitute it in, because it's sometimes not clear what you're doing. If I just write minus 1 squared minus 4a and c, I'm hoping you guys can see that it's not the easiest thing to interpret, right? Sometimes. So what would that give me? That gives me 1 minus 40. Yeah, 1 minus 40, so that's minus 39. And because that's less than 0, there are no solutions. technically no real solutions I should put in there. That's how you show it. Again, there's a lot of show questions in A-level maths, and a lot of you do some pretty good stuff, but does it actually prove what they're asking you to prove? So why does this show there's only one real root? Well, it shows that this here has no real roots. This is the only real root, therefore there's only one. So some people try and prove that b squared minus 4ac equals 0. But just be careful with that, okay? Part D. Write down the real root of the equation f of x minus 5 is equal to 0. I mean, again, you could just say that it's x plus 5. That's just stating the factor theorem again. That's it. Again, for anyone that's just joined, feel free to submit any questions on the Discord or via email. But for now, we're just going to go through the 2022 paper step by step, and we'll see how far we get. I might skip some questions if it's too easy. This is pretty good. So we have this situation with vectors. So my approach with vectors is always to draw a diagram. I know some people don't like doing it, and I know that some of you don't do it and you still get the right answer. Diagrams, in my opinion, are really, really useful. So if I just quickly draw some kind of triangle, I don't care what it looks like particularly. P, Q, R. Hopefully you can see it's actually not that tedious to just draw and label a diagram. And this will help us with all three parts. So that's pretty useful. And then PR. So, why do I really like the diagram? Well, you know how there's a lot of equations in your textbook about working out QR by taking a certain vector and doing all this other stuff? I don't like any of that. Instead, I use the GCSE strategy because it works. So, what do I mean by that? Well, the GCSE strategy was it's a game. I want to go from Q to R, but you can only go along vectors you know. So I cannot go straight from Q to R because I don't know the vector QR. So instead, I have to go from Q to P and then from P to R. Now, the rule is if you go against the vector, so in the opposite direction, you have to make it negative. You need to take the opposite signs. Now be careful with this. You're not just making 3 negative, you're making 3 and 5 negative. So the way I would write it, because I'm very paranoid, is I'd say QR equals negative and then put the entire thing in a bracket. And then I'm going along this vector, so that's going to keep the same sign. Now this doesn't mean that the 15 becomes positive, it's still negative, I just don't change the sign. Again, there are formulas to work this out, but memorizing formulas is a recipe for disaster because you will forget in some exam at some point. So limit the amount you need to rely on your memory. Okay, so we have minus 3i plus 13i, that is 10i. We have minus 5i minus 15, minus 5j minus 15j, which is minus 20j. Done. And that is literally the same strategy I've used in GCSE maths. Part B, hence find. Well, whenever you take the magnitude of a vector, all you're doing is Pythagoras' theorem. So what do I mean by that? Well, this vector QR is 10 spots to the right, it's 20 spots down, and so essentially we're just working out the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle. So all you're doing is you're doing square root 10 squared plus 20 squared. Now some people criticize me, rightly so, and they say, well, why don't you make this negative 20? It's because we're squaring it anyway. So it doesn't matter if it's negative 20 or positive 20 or whatever. Because we're squaring it, the sign does not matter. Did it say, give your answer as a simplified surd? That's fine, because my calculator will just do it for me. I don't even need to think. So that's hopefully a really nice 4 marks that you guys are guaranteed to get. Okay? The only bit that I would say might struggle on is part A, but if you have a diagram, part A is guaranteed and therefore part B is guaranteed. Now, part C gets a bit interesting. This is where you'd need to draw a diagram anyway, right? Or at least I would hope you'd draw a diagram anyway. So regardless, if you have to draw it now, you may have to go back and check your answers. So draw it first, it's the easiest thing to do. When we do stats and mechanics in my tuition lessons or in school, Drawing a diagram is guaranteed. You have to do it. So point S lies on the line segment such that Q to S to R is 3 to 2. So in other words, there is a point S here. There are 3 parts on this side and 2 parts on this side. We need to find P to S. So here's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to rub out my previous lines. And again, I can't go straight from P to S. I don't have a vector going straight along here. But I do have one going from P to Q and then Q to S. Now, you could also do P to R and R to S. You will get the exact same answer. Don't worry. So, whoops. I'm going along this vector, so I'm going to keep it as 3i plus 5j. Now, I don't know what Q to S is, right? But what I do know is it's a fraction of Q to R. The question is, what fraction is it? And this is where your ratios come into play. If I have a 3 to 2 ratio, the fraction is 3 over 3 plus 2, 5. So it's 3/5 of the total length QR. So I'm going to do plus 3/5 of 10i minus 20j. And then I'm just simplifying it. That's it. 6 marks. In my opinion, pretty easy, but people make mistakes. Again, for those of you that have just joined, we're doing the 2022 paper, but if you have any questions, you can submit them on Discord into the stream questions tab, and I'll go through them. We're doing this just because we had no other questions to do. So feel free to stick around or ask any questions that you have. So 3i, 3/5 of 10. Well, divide it by 5. That's 2 times 3 is 6. So 3 plus 6 is 9i. Again, you can use a calculator. You don't have to be arrogant like I'm being. 20 divided by 5 is 4, times 3 is 12. So we have 5 minus 12, which is minus 7j. But again, you can use a calculator to verify. That's really short for 6 marks. Really short. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. Again, any questions, feel free to stop me. Or maybe we could skip ahead. So question 4, we have a sketch of a triangle and it has various sides, 7x, x plus 2, 3x plus 10. We have 2 angles. Well, we have one missing angle. We have one angle we know. Okay, show that 17x squared minus 35x minus 48 is equal to 0. So let's think about what they're trying to tell us here. Well, okay, got it. And again, this is what you need to think about. Is you need to think about what exactly are they asking us to do? Like, what are we trying to solve? Now, we have an equation here. That's to show that. Let's look at our information and think about how we can use that. Well, I don't have the area of the triangle, so it can't be an area of a triangle question. I don't have the perimeter. It can't be the perimeter. It can't be sine or cosine rule because I can't... Oh, sorry, it can't be sine rule because I don't have pairs of values. Like, I don't have a theta in my answer, so I can't use sine rule. But I can use cosine rule because I have 3 sides and the angle between them. That is the only equation that I have all of the information for. So that's what I'm going to do. So remember, the only thing that matters with cosine rule is that the side opposite the angle is always going to be your A. So just so you're aware, A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. So A is going to be 3x plus 10 squared. And again, with this, take your time, take it slowly. Do not rush. B and C, it doesn't matter which way around you do it. So I'm just going to put this as B and the other one as C, x plus 2. But again, silly mistakes happen all the time. So please do not make them. Cos 60. Now, remember back in GCSE, you're meant to memorize a bunch of values for cos. Well, this is A level now. You can just use a calculator for cos 60 as a half. So if I say that this equals a half, by the way, we have 2 times a half. So I can actually cancel out those 2 things. Expand the brackets. So we have 9x squared plus 60x plus 100 equals 7 squared is 49, so 49x squared plus x squared plus 4x plus 4. And then we have, lastly but certainly not least, 7x squared minus 14x. Don't forget there's a minus sign in front, which is why I almost slipped up on. But that's what I get so far. Thank you very much, Tens. Again, for those that have just joined, we're doing the 2022 paper. Feel free to submit questions on the Discord though. Just let me know when you've submitted them, and I will help you out, and we'll go through them. Okay, so now we need to, what's the word I'm looking for? We need to simplify this. So I'm going to simplify the right side. Yeah, I'm going to take this slowly just because I feel a bit tired, so I am prone to make mistakes, which is why I also want you guys looking out for me. 49 plus 1 is 50, minus 7 is 43x squared. Thank you so much, Hannah. I really appreciate that. If you let me know what subjects you do, maybe I'll, you know, if it's one that I've done before, maybe I can help with that, potentially. So if I so actually I'm going to cross out the ones that I've done, sorry. Then we've done the 4x and the 14x. So we're just left with 4. Again, I apologise for the paranoia, but it's real. Now, I'm going to move all of this over to the right-hand side. And what that's going to do is, I like to take this step by step. So obviously all of these signs will change. So we have 43x squared minus 9x squared, which is 34x squared. Then we'll have a minus 10x minus 70x, which is minus 60x, which is minus 70x. Slip of the tongue. 4, take away 100, which is minus 96 equals 0. But that's not my answer. The answer's here. Well, all they've done is they've divided through by 2 in an effort to simplify. So 17x squared minus 35x minus 48 equals 0, which is indeedly the answer to the questionnaire. So hopefully that makes sense. Lastly, oh God, my voice. The last thing it asks us to do, it says, hence find the value of x. This is just solving. It's a 1 marker, so you can do it on your calculator because they haven't said you're not allowed to use a calculator. So you can literally just do menu, down 2, right 1, equation slash func, polynomial. Polynomial degree is going to be 2 for pretty much all available maths. 17, the number in front of x squared. Negative 35, negative 35, the number in front of x. And negative 48, the number at the end. We get 2 values. We get x is equal to, well, we should get 2 values. X equal to 3. X equals to a weird looking fraction. So, why does it say work out the value singular? Well, think about it. These are lengths. So, x equals 3, length cannot be negative, is what I'd write. Not be negative. That's exactly what I would write in this case. Hence find the value of theta, giving your answer to 1 decimal place. This might be relatively easy. It's just a sine rule question now. That's totally fine, Sky King, if you want to. Hannah, I do psychology, history, and English. I wish there were YouTube channels that cover them. I didn't do any of those at A-level or university, so I probably would be... You probably know more than I do. Put it that way. But yeah, you can DM it if you want, Sky King. Part B, hence find the value of theta. This just now becomes a sine rule question. So because we know x is 3, 7x is therefore 21. X plus 2 is going to be 5. So again, we'll just cross these out. And then it was 3. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 10 is 19. So now is literally just a sine rule question. So we have sine theta over 5 equals sine 60 over 19. That, so then sine theta equals sine 60, just thinking about how to write it, times 5, and then theta will equal something. So let's get here, menu, back to number 1. We're going to inverse sine, open bracket, sine 60, close bracket, 19 multiplied by 5. 13 point, does it say how many decimal places? 1 decimal place, 13.2. Do I cover stats? Yep. So I do stats as part of the tutoring or teaching or anything like that. So yeah, stats is fine. Hold on, we have got some submitted questions. Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I may well need tens. I might need the other parts of the question too, like A to E, to do that, potentially. Yeah, hypothesis testing is probably the hardest part of AS stats. Notice how I said AS. Okay, give me 1 second, just need some water. I've been teaching since like 10:50. Hey, hybrid. Oh, God. Voice is dying. God, why is this... Why? God. I do indeed, hybrid. I do indeed. So, the mass of algae in a small pond, the most interesting thing. Data recorded indicate there's a linear relationship. Use it to find a complete equation for the model in the form A equals PQ to the power of T. So, a few different ways to do this. Oh look, Nithika's here as well. Perfect. There are a couple ways to do this. One way is starting from here and going back to here. So you rearrange it, you do all of that fun stuff, which I'm actually kind of impartial to right now. I actually kind of like that way. No worries. Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to do that. Is the other way fine? I mean, the other way's fine as well. Okay. Either way, sorry for daydreaming for a second. You could do either. So, let's do the way that they probably intend you to do, which is starting from the log equation and working your way to the exponential based equation, 0.03t. Oh, you've never done logs yet? It's a big part of maths. It's a big part. This might not make any sense to you. I'm not gonna lie. So if you want me to skip it, I'm happy. I mean, I don't know how many. That's fine. So with this one, again, as I mentioned, there are actually quite a few different ways to do this. So you could start from the power relationship, the exponential relationship, and go to the log one, or you can go from the log and you can go to the exponential one. I'm going to do the log to the exponential, even though I think the exponential is a bit easier, but whatever. So the first thing you want to do is to get rid of the log. You need to raise everything to the power of 10. So I'm going to do this in I normally would skip some steps, but let's do it properly. So if I raise everything to the power of 10, we would have something along the lines of this. Please don't make the mistake of some students in making this two separate ones straight away. Okay? Now, when you raise something to the power, the log will disappear instantly. So this still stays as 0.03t plus 0.5. From here, you don't need logs or exponentials. You can just use the normal rules. Okay? So if you don't know logs, continue listening from this part. Okay? Pretty important bit. So, you can use the rules of indices for the rest of this. Now, if I'm adding two powers, which is what I'm doing, right? I'm adding these two powers, then that must mean that they're equal to 10 to the power of 0.03t times 10 to the power of 0.5, right? Because when you times two bases, you add the powers. Now, the square root of 10, it wants me to give it to 4 sig fig. And that's going to be my value of p, because I'm going to move... Actually, no, I'm going to take it even slower. I'm going to move that 10 to the front. Now, I'm going to find the value of square root of 10 to 4 significant figures. So we're going to do 10 to the power of 0.5. Whoops, not negative, 0.5. We get 3.16227766. So 3.162 it would be the answer to that. 2. And then that's times 10 to the power of 0.03. That's correct, ice cream. Yeah. Okay. So, the plus 1 doesn't do anything now. Now, we're not done yet, because if you notice, it says pq to the power of t. There is no value in front of the t. There's no number. So I'm not done yet. What we need to do now is work out 10 to the power of 0.03. Again, to 4 sig big. And, okay, I'll write that out now. 162 times 1.0, so that's 2 sig fig, 3, 4 sig fig, and that'll be to the power of t. Now it's in the form they want. A lot of students leave that last step, but remember to really look carefully at the answer. There's no number in front of t, and therefore we need to get rid of the number in front of t by actually working out what this thing is. So be really careful about that. Pretty good. So the next part says interpret the value of the constant p and q. Okay. So as a hint, the number at the front is always a starting amount. Carl, when will I be doing GCSE maths revision? As in live streams? Or just videos? Because the last few videos have all been GCSE related. So yeah. Is the starting mass of algae. Honestly, there hasn't been much demand for it. I was thinking of doing some. And if you think there is demand, then maybe. I might send out a poll on YouTube just to see what people think. Yeah, that and most content is also GCSE revision. I'm more than happy to do GCSE revision. More than happy to do it. But again, what I'll do is I'll send out a poll and see what people are like. And it might have to be Fridays or Wednesdays. I think Wednesdays might be better because Fridays is a bit tragic. Let's leave it as a... Yeah, Wednesdays might be better. Part 2, the value of the constant q. That would just be kind of like a... Thanks. There's a couple of months left, Nithika. A couple of months left. Don't forget, it starts in May. So they have March and April yet. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, so Q is like a growth factor, I would say. Or the rate at which the algae is growing. Part C, find the mass when t equals 8. That shouldn't be too bad. You just need to sub in t equals 8 into the equation. Then the number of weeks we are going to have to use logarithms. So, how... So yeah. Part C. So part 1. Part 1. Find the mass of the algae after how many weeks? when t equals 8. So they're literally just asking you to sub in t equals 8 into your expression. So all you need to do is sub in t equals 8 times. And that's it. It says to the nearest half kilogram, so 5.5 kg. There's always a substitution question. And the part 2, I'm willing to bet, is going to be working out what t is at some value. Yeah, so the number of weeks it takes for the mass of the algae to reach 4. So in this case, we're subbing in 4 for A, and then we have to work out what t is. Really, really common question. 2 times 2 power of t. What I always do, and I would thoroughly recommend this because again students make mistakes on this all the time, which is aggravating, but I do get it, is move the 3.162 over first. Do not do the log. Again, you technically can, it's just needlessly complicated. Then you're just going to log both sides. There's just a big log button that you can use on your calculator. Equals log of 1.072 to the power of t. The t can come to the front because it is the power rule for logs. Again, if you haven't done logs, this might make absolutely no sense to you. I think I have a video doing logs. I think. I cannot remember. And then moving the t over at the last minute. Again, I wouldn't combine the logs. So some students try and combine them, which you can't do. Don't forget, the rule for logs is if you subtract them, you can write them as a division. When you divide them, you can't simplify the logs like that, okay? So don't do it like that. Intro to logs. Yeah, I thought I did. That sounded familiar. So you guys obviously aren't just like watching my stuff, which, okay, that's fine. I'm joking. 4 over 3.162. Close the bracket. Over, again, I hate how they moved the log button. Evie, how are you? And you get 6.5, wait, it says to what? To the nearest week? It doesn't say anything. So let's say 6.6 weeks. I am great as well. That's 5. What do you mean, ice cream? I'm glad to hear you're good, Evie, and I'm doing well as well. That's 5, not 4. 4 kilograms. A-level maths hasn't beaten you. I'm glad to hear it. Already done. All of it. Fair play. As in you've covered it all or you've done the exam for it? Damn. Fair play. Oh, did I? Oh, ice cream. Saviour. 3.3. Thank you. I told you I'd make a mistake. I've been teaching since 10 o'clock this morning. It's driving me. But that is so good. Nice. I'm glad you like it. It's always good to hear when people actually like maths. Because it can be, I don't know. To be fair, I only really truly appreciate maths when I did university. So I'm not going to judge anyone if they don't like it at the moment. But yeah, well done, Evie. Seems like you're on that grind. So, in the long term, why might it not be? A-level is a little bit shallow. Realistic model in the long term, why might it not be? Well, a good thing to do now is to basically sub in a really big number and see why it's stupid. So 3.162 times 1.072. So let's say what happens after like 1,000 weeks. Math error. That was 10,000 weeks. 1,000 weeks, that's the mass. I'm pretty sure that's about as big as the galaxy. You know? Like about 1 million stars worth of algae. It's pretty big. So the reason why it wouldn't work long term is because the algae can't grow exponentially forever. That's the idea. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember you, Kuso. Your profile picture looks familiar, but the name's not sticking with me. Am I able to answer stats questions? I sure hope so. But yeah, so all you would say is long term. Actually, no, I wouldn't even write that. I'd say the algae has to stop growing eventually, or cannot grow exponentially forever. Forever. Okay? And yeah, that makes sense, right? After 1,000 weeks, which is about what, 20 years? 20 years, it's going to be heavier than the galaxy. I would hope not. Because that's a truly Orwellian time we're living in. Yeah, I like logs and exponentials. I think they're pretty solid. I think they're not too difficult, but not too easy either. They're nice. That's the important thing. Binomial expansion. I'm hoping I don't have to go through this. Might have to skedaddle there. I'm not gonna lie, my least favorite part is binomial expansion, even though it's really useful in real life. Oh, I see. Okay, now I know who you are. I'm not doing maths at A-level because it feels like it wasn't for me. Honestly, I would only pick A-level maths if you need it for the future. I wouldn't even pick it even if you're interested in it, because it is one of those tricky A-levels. It's not one of the... Well, okay, there are no easy A-levels, but it is a lot of work. But I'm glad you find it interesting. That's really important. But yeah, you probably did the right thing in not picking A-level maths if you don't need it. Okay? Get another drink. Oh, my voice is dying. So again, I would encourage any of you to, in the Discord, just post any questions that you want to go through, and I can go through them in the future, which is... That's right. That's a good point. Evie does need to tutor if it's that easy. But yeah, I think I might call it here, and then I can gather some questions for you guys to go through next week. God, my brain is turning off right now, rapidly. Where did you send it, Evie? Is the last few questions even difficult? Oh, okay, so you can just send it in the chat then. If it's a quick one, but again, is A-level physics as hard as everyone says? I would say A-level physics is a combination of two things that make it hard. One is the teachers generally suck. Now, why do I say this? Because most physics teachers, in air quotes, are not physics specialists. So they might get a maths teacher with a degree in engineering to try and teach you A-level physics, but that's not their specialty. That's not what they've trained for. And it's also not what they've taught most of the time. So that's one reason. And that's what I'm finding in my A-level physics classes for tuition, is the teachers that are really letting the students down. The second thing is it requires a different type of thinking, which we don't really train in GCSE, if that makes sense. You have to really apply your logic and your problem solving, which really isn't tested. Yeah, it is hard, but I think those two things make it really hard. Is A, the way that you have to think about questions, and B, the sucky teachers. Yeah. Hold on, I'm going to put something in the chat. Okay, there we go. Basically, there's an emoji that covers up part of the chat, and I can't get rid of it. So let me just read this. It's flipping a coin, and I have my expected value of x as 3.19, and I want the probability to use it of binomial distribution, so divided by the number of possible heads. Yes. Yeah. There should be 3.19 over 5. Again, I'm not going to lie, I am not in the right frame of mind. Evie, can I ask, is your A-level physics teacher, like, do you know what their background is? Like, are they actually a physics specialist? If you know. Again, if you know, they might not tell you. Yeah, I'm fine. It's just that I've taught since 10 o'clock this morning. So, yeah, I'm telling you, most physics teachers kind of suck. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. I have more kids in my A-level physics tutoring than A-level maths. Crazy. Yep. Really common. So, yeah, it's really, really common. Yeah. I'm going to point out all A-levels are difficult. They're a lot of work. All of them are. The reason why I say physics is especially hard is mainly because of the teachers. Mainly. So, just keep that in mind. There aren't any easy A-levels. I will die on that hill. I promise you. I had a friend do A-level music and she showed me the stuff that she was doing. It's crazy. Yeah, maths you can use textbooks. So the textbooks are good, but even the physics textbooks are kind of garbage, not going to lie. But with physics, again, you need a good teacher. But of course, you know, do what you gotta. Okay, yeah, so I'm being a bit useless now. You're very welcome, Evie. I'm glad that it seems to be going well for you. I'm also glad that you do maths, further maths and physics. That's dope. Fully support that. If you do a physics degree, definitely let me know. Because that's your boy's specialty. No? Maths degree? Are you sure? No, I'm joking, of course. Maths or physics. But yeah. You're going to drop it? What do you mean? Oh, you know what? Fair. I actually, because of your situation with your teachers, I agree. I love physics. So me saying, don't do physics if the teachers are arse, that says a lot. Just saying. Exactly. But yeah, like the kids I tutor for physics, their teachers are, well, there's something else. But anyways, instead of me ragging on people for the rest of this, just hire me. Exactly. Your school should hire me. All schools should hire me at once. Do some physics past paper questions. You're tempting me. You are tempting me. I did do a couple videos on A-level physics last year. Alright, fine. Okay, maybe. I like physics, so I don't mind. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have a really good evening. Thank you for joining. But again, if you have any questions, please submit them for next week. And I will look at them. I'll do them. How did you get better at English? In terms of... Wait, is that GCSE or A-level, Millicent? I think it's GCSE, right? Yeah, I think Nithika's got this handled. Did you actually? Bloody hell, well done. At least to assume. You got full marks. Well, there you go, Millicent. Talk to Nithika. If you join the Discord, Nithika's in there a lot. And then ask for help. That's the best way to do it. But yeah. Anyways, enjoy your evenings, everyone. I will see you next week. Or in the videos or in Discord or whatever. So, have a good evening. See you guys later. Enjoy.